for a second?
Yeah.
I'm surprised to see you here. Oh, I guess I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, how are you?
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Little Black Book. You know what time it is, you know what time it is. Talking to you guys about Sarah fainting, manipulating, or was she really feeling emotional about the fact that she had left her family? Or is it a bit of both? Let's talk about it and let's kind of break it down from here. Guys, if you are new to the channel, do me a favor. You like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notifications of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. All right, cool. Let's get into the video. So, Episode 3, we have, I think, the main story arc really revolving around Sarah versus the rest of the girls in relation to Matt James.
But, Sarah interrupted.
Sarah? What?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Why is she here?
We get to see Sarah in the very beginning faint as they're taking their roses, and you see some of the girls feeling a certain way because it felt like she was taking away from the group at the time.
So tonight during the rose ceremony, I'm waiting for my name to be called, and then Sarah faints.
It was a high pressurized situation, a very difficult moment for a lot of the girls who are thinking they're on the verge of going home. And so I understand that a lot of the ladies were feeling anxious, a little bit, tired. It had been a long day. They're filming for very long hours as well, I'm sure, as well. So there's a lot that is going on. But unfortunately, when Sarah faints, it's just not the right time. And number two is what happens after. And so obviously, she shares that she is a person who easily gets jealous and is easily hurt due to the fact that obviously what she experienced in the past, okay? And it's very early on where she speaks about sharing her feelings. And I can see that she's a territorial lover. What I mean by that is whatever past pains that she's gone through, they are now impacting upon the way that she's relating to Matt James. I'm not saying that when you're on the show, on The Bachelor, that you're not going to feel jealous. It's the way that you exhibit the jealousy, right?
I knew that you would be dating these other women, and there would be the potential for me to see him be romantic and intimate with other women. I'm not stupid. I knew this was gonna happen.
And like I said, we've been talking this month, especially about manipulation in different shows. And when someone is as emotional as Sarah is in a pressurized situation like this, very much like Victoria did when she went and took a second time to go and speak with Matt James in the very first episode, similarly enough, Sarah does similar things. Now, I know she has her reasons. I want to be very, very clear. We understand she has a reason. I'm going to break that down later on as the show goes. But there was some element of seemingly some manipulation, and I can understand why the girls were feeling frustrated and annoyed by Sarah this particular episode.
Putting salt on wounds. Imagine having your dream date, and then the next day, seeing that just shoved down your face. Ugh. It felt dirty watching that.
I can understand why they were feeling the way they were feeling about this particular episode, because it was something that, every girl wants to spend her time with Matt James. Every girl wants to have a bit of his time. And when one girl is dominating the time with Matt James through emotional antics, it looks like emotional manipulation.
Apologize.
We need to have, our time with her without him.
Manipulation. It looks like she intentionally then locks herself away, doesn't want to come downstairs, doesn't participate in group events just to get Matt James to respond. Now, we're very much aware from the audience perspective of her situation. As she confessed to Matt James, yes, it's been a difficult time because when she left, her father was terminally ill, doesn't know how long he's going to be alive for, and therefore she's half-heartedly in the show. But there were instances of, I would say, a breaking protocol, which I just don't think she needed to do. And I think what she did also was take advantage of the fact that he knew her story, and broke and did some things which some of the actions were beyond what needed to be taken. For instance, when she went and interrupted Katie's date, she didn't need to do that. No,
These special moments with other women too. I just like worry if I like can't get past this, it's really going to be a roadblock in my relationship with Matt.
You didn't win the date. You didn't need to do that. You could have waited for him to come back. You didn't. Now, I know she obviously said she was going to leave, etc., etc. But again, I can also see it from the girl's point of view. Well, if you're going to leave, leave. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because what happens is now, and again, we can see that she is genuine because we know her story, but for someone else, this may not be genuine, you know? And it can easily be, and even if the person is genuine about their story, it can easily turn into manipulation because you are taking advantage of situations and then using, well, my situation is so peak right now, my situation is so emergency filled, I have to break these protocols. And it's like, you don't have to break these procedures. You don't have to break the fact that obviously you didn't win, your team, or she wasn't even involved, the team didn't win, and unfortunately these girls have got their time with Matt James. So when you decide to interrupt, and then there's a part also when she's talking to Matt, when she's moved Katie out of the way, when Katie comes back and she's like, can I have 5 more minutes? Chick, you already been in there for a few minutes too long already. You understand? I'll give him back to you in 5 minutes. So what it looks like in that moment, okay, is that you're taking an absolute mick. And I think part of you utilize your position of leverage here. Part of her, not all of her, because we sympathize with her position. Part of her did utilize her leverage in the fact that he knows her situation. He knows what she's going through.
I will come here every day. I'm dead serious. If that's what it takes every day for me to just stop by you and just be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I have real feelings for you.
And therefore played partly on it to be able to enter the room when Katie's done. Why didn't she say, Katie, Matt, can I speak to you after you finish with Jamie? No, Katie, why didn't she do that? She leveraged her position, unfortunately, and that's what we're talking about, emotional manipulation. And these things come when people have been hurt in the past, have been used and abused emotionally from people, when they no longer trust people, when they no longer can feel safe, especially around the opposite sex, they actually go into defensive mode. And that defensive mode is about controlling other people. Not that they're necessarily controlling all the time, but they find a way to control the narrative, okay? Because that's the only way they're going to feel safe. If they can control everything that is happening, then they'll feel safe. If they can control events, then they'll feel safe. If they can control the people and how they're operating, then they'll feel safe. So for me, when I was seeing that, I was like, okay, I get you. You're feeling emotionally exhausted. You know, you're dealing with, she said she's dealing with the jealousy and the unfaithfulness in the past. It's very, very difficult being in a show like this. And then this is the thing as well. If you haven't healed from, you know, dealing with unfaithfulness and jealousy and dealing with past partners, what's going to happen is when you're in pressurized situations like this, and the difference here is that obviously you got a whole bunch of girls who are in competition with you, but this can actually come out when you are in a relationship with somebody and there is somebody else who's another, because jealousy is about the perceived threat oftentimes, okay? Now there's times where it actually generates a threat, but it's about the perceived threat. And so at the moment if you're in a relationship one-to-one with somebody and there's another female or another guy, whoever, depending on who you are, and you see them coming close to your partner, having a conversation, talking to them, giggling, laughing, whatever, jealousy will kick up there. So if you've not healed from the insecurities that you're facing due to the fact that someone made you feel insecure in past relationships, then what will happen is you will exercise control and manipulation by crying, by excessive crying, using I would call it damsel in distress movements to try and get the man to feel sorry for you, protect you, and to leave and dispatch himself from those other people. And very
Kicking me out.
I guess I have to. This is really hard, but that was really, really so sweet and so comforting. This relationship is really real, and I mean a lot to him.
What will happen is you will cause him to isolate from other people, because as soon as he does something, you make him feel bad about his reaction. If we just look at the fact that if we just look at the fact that obviously when he was going on a date with Serena P, what happened? Because she was upstairs crying, being all sad, everything like that. And again, we respect the fact that she's going for a difficult situation. When she was crying, doing all that kind of that, he then had to, before the date, I mean, I'm sorry, his mindset's going to be changed. Before the date, he's now coming to deal with something very heavy from you. Okay, because Sarah didn't want to come downstairs, and so when he asked her where she was, he had to go upstairs.
Will you give me like 5 minutes?
It's not like a great way to set the tone for the
Okay, upstairs and talk to her, throw himself on the bed next to her, hug her, you know what I'm saying, blah, blah, blah. And you saw, obviously, again, him being drawn out of the group and giving himself to other people to be with Sarah P, to make her feel safe. And I want you to listen to some certain words that he said. He said, if I have to every single day tell you something to make you feel safe, to make you feel comfortable, then I'll do it. That is already the beginning of the manipulation we're talking about.
I will come here every day. I'm dead serious. If that's what it takes every day for me to just stop by and just be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I have real feelings for you.
You know, because that, if it's going to get to a stage where she will utilize that. Someone can utilize that to a point where they're drawing you out every single time to get you to make them feel better each single time, to draw you away from other people, right? If he's got to do this every day, he's already doing something more than he's doing for every other girl. And she did that because she emotionally made him feel a certain way. Not that she made him feel good, but you made him feel sorry. And that can be emotional blackmail, that can be emotional manipulation in the way that somebody views these things, right? So when I heard him say that, I said, oh, sir. And I was a little bit triggered because I've dealt with something like this. So I was a little bit triggered. I was like, oh, if that person's not genuine, you're finished. That person knows how to tick all your buttons to make you activate your protector mode. You know, because the natural man, the masculine energy is that when the woman acts as a damsel in distress, his natural protective mode should take over. Right? So if she's always acting in damsel in distress as a form of manipulation now, right? And it's excessive. We're not talking about obviously the damsel in distress to, you know, how women are to exercise their femininity, but we're talking about toxic masculinity where it's a weapon of manipulation to do it big time, to make them wrap around their finger and to make them come at their beck and call. Then we'll talk about something completely different. Do you know what I mean? Her and you have to, like I said, her position with him and the fact that she knew that obviously he knew her situation made her confident enough to interrupt the conversation with Katie. There was no need to do this. She could have waited. She could have said, Katie, after you, can I speak to Matt James? I've just got some really serious business to deal with him with. Cool, right? Katie might not have liked it, the girls might not have liked it, but at least you did it after the time. When you interrupted, you actually said, Katie, you're not that important. That's a signal it sends. Katie, you're not that important. You understand? And to him and to the girl, she's going to feel like, hold on a minute, if he can exit this conversation from me to go with her, I'm not that important. And if you watch what happened after, when they obviously sat down, and then she did another thing. She did another thing. When she was leaving the room with Katie, I want you to pay attention. When Katie came back and said, obviously, can I have him back now? My time is here.
Of course, can I bring him to you in like 5 minutes? I promise I'll give him to you in 5 minutes.
maybe like 2.
I mean,
she's almost making Katie look bad for having back what time that she should have had in the first place. Why should Katie have to... Imagine the Chris Tucker joke. You know when someone borrows something for so long, you got to borrow it back? Like, that joke that Chris Tucker makes is exactly playing out here. She is taking Matt for so long, she has to now ask for Matt back. Why should she have to do that? Right? That's not the courtesy. Then when Katie says, I'm gonna stay out here for a few minutes, she's getting irritated and then says, Sarah's getting irritated and says, oh, can you walk me outside then? You knew exactly what you're doing when you say walk me outside. Or walk me to the door then.
On our one-on-one.
can you walk me out? Is that okay?
Yeah, okay, I'll be right back.
You walk me to the door and then you're lipsing him and he's lipsing you. And I'm not saying that obviously there isn't a genuine concern on her behalf, feeling like she is in a sticky situation right now because of her father. But there is also a need to also address the fact that there is some emotional manipulation here and a use of her leverage of position, understanding that he knew that she was going through a tough time. All right. And so her behavior begins to upset the balance of the group. Now, I don't like Victoria. You already know I don't like Victoria's behaviors. And I still didn't like her behaviors here. It was just very catty and, you know, always saying things like, who's your friend? Not me. I don't know who you're talking to. She talking to me? Like, all that kind of rude stuff. I don't rock with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not pretty. You know what I mean? It's not pretty. Like, allow it. Yeah. It's not a good look. But I understood the frustrations of the girls in the group. You've taken time away from them, etc.
So I'm just still not for a couple minutes. And I just wanted to be like the bigger person, let you guys know I'm here and apologize. Like, I know how hard that is.
But you did it after the fact, and that's
You should have come
annoying. Like,
You know, and then when she went to even apologize to the girls on the actual group date, when she apologized, I said this as well. Your apologies does not stop you from getting slumped. Let me say it again. Your apologies does not stop you from getting slumped. What does that mean? Apologies does not mean people will not be cussing you. Apologies does not mean that some people are going to ignore what you've done. It does not mean that they're not going to cuss back. Your apology is that if you truly mean an apology, you better be ready to take what's coming your way. And I think when the girls started going off on one, I was like, whoa. I said, whoa. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, sis decided that this was the best time to do it, and she didn't need to do that. You know what I mean? It was a selfish act in a sense, you know. And so when I'm looking at some of her things, the jealousy, some of these behaviors, jealousy, paranoia, insecurity, a constant need of assurance, invasion of privacy, all these things will start to play itself in the relationship. And this will become a very downward spiral relationship for him. He will not last long. If this is the kind of direction he's going in a relationship, it will not last long. You know what I'm saying?
I can't help but feel like if Sarah hadn't interrupted, that maybe I could have gotten the rose instead. And so I just could not sleep this morning.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, people are mad.
See, even in between that time, funny things were happening. Obviously, after the group date, when they got back to the house, Katie's here gossiping. Well, I say gossiping, but kind of telling another girl about the situation, how she felt, and then she was like, "Oh, you know, the fact that obviously." You know, Sarah interrupted. She, you know, it kind of caused her not to get her roses. I was like, girl, ain't nothing stop you getting from your roses. He was never giving you a rose. He was never giving you a rose, okay? I know you thought that your little sex conversation was good, like your little naughty monologue was powerful, but that weren't getting you the rose, sis. That weren't getting you the rose. I'm going to be honest with you. Trust me, you weren't on the rose list, okay? And so, again, like I said, and then obviously that's when obviously then he left Serena P to go upstairs for Sarah. And you know, it put Serena P in a very difficult situation. She doesn't want to cuss Sarah, but at the same time, she also doesn't want to make it seem like, what does she say to him? Oh, look, what can she say to him? Oh, you know what? You took kind of long for the situation between you and Sarah. Now you put him in a difficult position. You know what I'm saying? Like, so everybody was inconvenienced by this behavior. Everybody's inconvenienced by this behavior because of what Sarah decided to do. Now, I'm not cussing her. I'm just laying it out as true as it is.
But it's fine. It's 5 minutes, and I get the whole day. So.
Yes.
If somebody wants to go, let them go.
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't think she truly wants to go.
You know, she knew by staying upstairs that he's going to come upstairs. She knew that. She played the damsel in distress, you know. And again, she did pack her bag. She was getting ready to go. Like, she did have a bag ready to go. I'm not disputing that. But again, part of it was a manipulation to get him to see how much does he care. Let's see how much he cares. You know what I'm saying? Like, your ego can still be tickled even in those moments. You know, a validation can still come from those moments. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that whole I'm going to drop by every day if I have to, it's a red flag, blood. You're having to do extra procedures to make this person feel comfortable. And I'm not saying that it's not worth it in a relationship, but when someone is not aware of themselves, and you're having to do constant assurance, is dangerous, because that person will leech onto that and suck you dry. If that person's self-aware, then when you assure them, yes, that's fine. But people who are not self-aware, they lead into the line of taking advantage of your goodness and your kindness. you know, what I didn't agree with is the fact that girls were saying, obviously, living arrangements is gonna be hell from now on. It's gonna be difficult from now on. Do you know what I mean? I just thought to myself, that's a bit childish, and we're not really here for that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's competition, don't get it twisted, but we're not here to nuke anybody. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't feel Sarah deserved all of that heat when y'all couldn't give that kind of heat to Victoria. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think she deserved that kind of heat, and it just made me think some of you are probably scared of Victoria then, because you didn't give that heat to Victoria. Not the way that you're giving it to Sarah right now. And the reason why you probably didn't give it to Victoria also as well, because her role, her method wasn't working. The way she was doing it wasn't working, Victoria. It wasn't gaining much on Matt James. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Sarah is actually winning. And the reason why they were annoyed, it's because she had a one-on-one date. It's because she's had time with him. And again, the girls are feeling a bit salty because they haven't all had time with him. Listen, get yours, sis. Don't be waiting around for nobody else, because it will catch you off guard. You know what I'm saying? It will catch you off guard. You understand? And even when she, at the very end as well, when you watch, I guess, obviously, Sarah go to his house, and she says her final goodbyes, you can tell, and the thing is, it's real. Like, you can tell that he actually likes her. You can tell that he feels some type of way for her. Like, you can tell that. That's a given, right? But Katie said something which is so profound. She said, you know, you should stay, but I wouldn't want to be the second best. I wouldn't want to be want to be thinking that he's with me, knowing that he really wants to be with you. And I thought that was so profound, because it's true.
As much as I hate to say it, I have to have you guys explore that completely, because I don't want to be his backup plan. If you leave and he's still interested in you.
While they're cussing her saying, get out, if his heart is for her, then you will always be second best. And this is relationships, ladies and gentlemen. Getting rid of the girl that you think is the one that's causing the issue, they get rid of them. We've heard obviously, you know, him sharing with other girls and stuff like that. We know obviously that, you know, he's spoken with Bree, spoken with Rachel, spoken with Abigail, and he's spoken about his issues once they've shared their vulnerability. But what we saw here was a far more vulnerability, speaking about his mom and stuff like that, with Serena P. And I thought, that's a big thing, because maybe Serena P is drawing that out of him. Maybe she's doing something that's making him feel comfortable enough to really express some deeper sentiments, right? And obviously when he said obviously he really, really likes her, I was like, okay, maybe this is why he's also sharing a lot of this information out for him. You know, and then she said obviously that she's surprised that, you know, she's feeling him as much as she does, you know, and like she was surprised that she would feel this way. And the thing is, look, competition can do something to you to make you want someone even more than you want to. Why? It's a social proof. When we look at social proofing is like basically when people say something's good, you are going to take their opinions that this thing is also good because the group consensus has said it's good. So when girls like a certain man, they social proof. You know, when a group of people say a consensus is that this is good, a lot of people will take on that consensus depending on how they view that group. So maybe that's why girls are falling a bit more faster, not just because of the interaction and the attraction, but because also as well the social proofing's happening. Every woman wants the guy that you're wanting. Okay, that makes you want it even more. You know what I mean?
And I can't say I had been in love yet. Mm-hmm. I think I've really liked somebody and I've had that warm feeling before, but that's not love to me. You know what I mean?
You know, he expressed also a sentiment that, you know, love looks different now. He hasn't been in love before, but love looks different. And I think that's key thing. As we're getting older, love don't look the same. Love ain't the same. Love is not the same way we thought it was when we were younger. And the reason why is because we've grown. We've grown to understand. We've grown to be mature in that love isn't this lovey-dovey fall in love stuff. It is a conscious choice, and therefore understanding that maybe our past relationships weren't really love. They were an aspect of love, but not in its entirety. Maybe they were more eros than they were agape in terms of a conditional love. And then the final point when it really discusses that Katie expressed about sexual intimacy, saying obviously, you know, when she came into the competition, you know, she was the most comfortable, and the ladies obviously, and I was like, Katie, calm it down, all right? Listen, you may have been comfortable bringing a dildo, but it did not mean that you were comfortable in terms of obviously having sexual intimacy, because you bringing a dildo does not equate to sexual intimacy. Okay?
Who came in like night one, like very open and comfortable. I actually really enjoyed watching you guys open up, talking about your desires and what you want, and we should be comfortable talking about this. And if we don't...
Yeah, sexual intimacy here is our ability to be vulnerable when it comes to sex. Okay, which means I have to already have a relationship with you to do this. Okay, that means when we express a safe boundaries that both of us can express our desires, our likes, our wants, our dislikes, our stories, maybe some of our traumas that we have in this area, that is our sexual intimacy. It is the revealing of nakedness before one another, not just physically, but emotionally as well, about sex. So all things encompassing sex. So it's not just your dildo. You understand? It's not just you writing that section novel graphic that you got ladies wrote, which, by the way, I think was a good task if it was one-to-one. But it wasn't. I don't think it was great to have 6-7 women expressing their sexual gratification of this man. Here's why. Look, if this again, this is a game show. If this is real life, ladies, don't do this. It don't get you no points. It don't get you no points. Well, depending on how you do it, because there's a salaciousness to it, which is sexy, and that is attractive, and there's part of it where it gets too far. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain words that are very harsh and very hard. The F word, yeah, you know, the D word can sound very vulgar, rather than being attractive and romantic and even a little bit sexy. You know what I mean? So the sexual intimacy is very key. If you need to be able to be free and have this conversation. And it sounded like the ladies were feeling far more free now they had done that task, which is great. But remembering that sexual intimacy isn't just get a dildo out. It's not just the act. It's the fact that, can we even have a conversation after sex and express, hey, look, do you know what? The last session we had, I liked it, but some parts of it, maybe we can change this and that. And then being comfortable enough to express those feelings and the person not be offended by them. You know? So, yeah, I don't mind her being liberal. I just need to understand, listen, sexual intimacy does not mean you bring a dildo. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean you're more comfortable than anybody else. You know, so... And I know the last thing I want to say is that, listen, Matt James, bro, even with the Sarah thing, I think it's like, blood, you're on crud. You want to kiss everybody. No, real spit, it's not even a banter and a joke. But even with him talking with Sarah, it looked at one point he wanted to kiss her at the same time. He pretty much kissed every girl he came in contact with. Like, bro, slow down. How can you really build good bonds when you're kissing everybody, please? All right, cool. Let me leave it there. Guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the what up loads, and we appreciate you. Stay locked and stay loaded.